So let's start our notes, and let's start with number 8 as an example. 1 over 4 equals 2 to the x plus 2 power. One over 4 equals 2 to the x plus 2 power. So I'm going to show you step by step how to do something like this, and I'll give you a hint. I'm looking at the x. Here's the x. It's in the exponent. There's no way to get it out of the exponent right now until you get to Math 3. In Math 3, you're going to learn something called a logarithm. We're not going to worry about logarithms right now in Math 1. So what I want you to do is look at the base of this exponent and see that it's a 2. And then you have to look over on this other side and have to figure out, how can I get this 1 over 4 into base 2? Well, 1 over 4. 4 is the same thing as 2 to what power? 2 to what power? I hope you know it's 2 to the second. 1 over 2 to the second is the same thing as 2 to the x plus 2. Go ahead. Now this 2 is in the numerator. This 2 is in the denominator. I need to move this 2 in the denominator up to the numerator. And so if I need it in the opposite place, I need to have it to the opposite power. The opposite of the positive 2 is 2 to the negative 2 up there. So we have 2 to the negative 2 is equal to 2 to the x plus 2. Once you get the two bases the same, 2 is the same thing as 2. These two bases are same. That means that their exponents have to be the same. That means this negative 2 and this x plus 2 have to also be the same. So I bring those over and I just say, well, negative 2 has to equal x plus 2. And then I'm going to solve that. I'm going to subtract 2 on this side and subtract 2 on this side. If you are not good with negatives and positives, punch this into your calculator. Negative 2 and negative 2 makes? Negative 4. And that's what your answer is. Your answer is x equals negative 4. Pretty simple? Okay, I'm going to flip my paper over and go to the back side of this thing. And this is going to look like number 17. And you can't see that, I just realized. And number 17 looks like this. Use the graph to solve 4 to the x over 2 equals 16. Use the graph to solve 4 to the x over 2 equals 16. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like, and we're going to do a sketch. But I wanted you to see what number 17 looks like. Okay, this is what the actual graph looks like, and so we're going to draw some key critical points here, and I'm going to explain it in a little bit more in detail. Okay, here. What we have is a graph that looks like this, and then another graph that goes like this. Okay?
Keeps on breaking.
Okay. All right. So this here, the number for it is it's 16. It's on the number 16. Hi, Mercedes. Just that right there. And then over here, dot, 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 is 4. And this intersection is 4, comma, 16, and they have it labeled like that, 4, 16. I think that I like this problem, but it doesn't do enough explanation. It doesn't lead you to know what to do. When I saw it, I go, oh, that's a neat way to ask a question. And let me just show you what they did. Okay, I want to show you what they did first. They graphed the equation y equals 16. Y equals 16. That's this graph right here. I'm going to draw a little arrow to it. That's the horizontal line. Then what they did is they graphed a line that looks like 4 to the x power. They tried to graph 4 to some power, and what it came out to be are 4 to, let's put the some power divided by 2, and that's what this one came out to be. So they have two graphs, and your job is to know, well, the 16 is this one. The 4 to the x over 2 is this graph right here. You don't need to know how they did it. If you really want to know, they plugged in some numbers. They plugged in a table of values. They created this. And what we need to do is we need to figure out, where does this equal that? Where are they the same? And I think a lot of you would know, where is this graph the same as this graph? Where are they equal to each other? Where's the solution to them? Do you know? If you know, tell the person you're sitting next to, because they're a safe person to talk to. Go ahead. Ralphie, in just a little bit, almost, okay? Okay, just so you know, I heard lots of partially correct answers. Some of you had it right, some of you had it wrong, but at least you're in the right spot. A lot of you knew it had something to do with this 416. I heard some people say 4, and I heard some people say 16. I heard 416. So you're in the right ballpark. Let me just go back to this. Here's the problem, right there at the beginning, right there. See this problem? 4x divided by 2 equals 16. What are we looking for? We're looking for what? X. We need to know where x is going to make them equal to each other. Now, these two things are made up of an x and a y. Do you know which one your x is? And x has to be equal to 4. 4 is the correct answer, and I'm curious, how many of you actually, when you were with your partner, you said x is equal to 4? Raise your hand if you got it right. 2 of you, maybe 3. Okay. Well, that's why I wanted to discuss it. Let me remind you. Let's just put down here. This is the x. This is the y. And what were we looking for? We were looking for the x value that would make it equal to each other. That's why I wanted to do 17. Does that make sense to you? There is one like this on either the quiz or the test, so make sure you understand it. If you are a person who highlights and things, this is the one you put a star next to because you know it's going to show up later on, not just on the worksheet, but on a quiz or test with different graphs and stuff, okay? Last example. Number 18. V to the n equals 3,000 times 3 to the n power So some mathematician was really bored and they came up with this equation, and I'm going to read you this paragraph that it says here. It says, the number of views of a certain internet video can be modeled by this function. How many views can, this will be determine how many views there were, where n is the number of weeks since the video was posted. How many weeks will it take for the number of views to reach 729,000 views? Okay, this is all right. We got to figure out when will it get to this many views. If it's 1 week where n is, then it's 3 times 3,000, which would be 9,000 views for some viral video, okay? And so we're going to figure this out. What we're going to do here, the question is how long to reach 729,000 views. Don't forget n is the number of weeks. You're not plugging this into where the n is. You're plugging this in where the v of n is. You're going to take this and replace it with 729,000. And then 729,000 is equal to 3,000 times 3n. We want to get this 3n by itself. We're going to get rid of this 3,000. What is the 3,000 doing to the 3n? And what is the opposite of that? So we want to divide by 3,000. Whatever we do on one side, we do to the other. That's a big number. I do not expect you to do that by hand. You can use a calculator. 729 divided by 3 is 243. I have a feeling it's going to be 243. Let me check again. 729,000 divided by 3,000 is 243. Good. Now this is where some of you will get stuck. Now you have 3 to the nth power. Do I divide by 3? No. You need to find 3 to some power equals 243. You need to think of your multiples of 3. So off to the side, I think 3 to the first, 3 to the second, 3 to the third, 3 to the fourth, and so on until I get to 243. Logan, do you know what it is? Yeah. What is it? I'm going to just double check. 3 to the fifth is 243. 3 to the fifth is the same thing as 3 to the nth. So 3, 9, 27, 81, thank you, and 243. Like I would have went through every single one to find something that had that multiple. So once I get here, I know that 3 to the nth is the same thing as 3 to the fifth. Since the bases are the same, the exponents have to be the same, and so n is going to be equal to 5. That's what we're going to do today. Let's end our notes right there.